The program sets restrictions on both net and gross monthly income broken down to household size. But the barrier to acquiring food aid in Michigan has been lowered. It is Governor Gwich'in Whitmer signed a bipartisan bill removing the asset test as a requirement to receive SNAP benefits. And according to the Michigan Executive Office of the Governor, the move will offer greater financial security to those who need it the most and ease the burden of receiving aid. Michigan is now one of the 37 states with similar laws, and the governor says people who had more than $15,000 worth of assets, including vehicles and savings, were disqualified for food. Officials say that 500,000 children in Michigan will benefit from the eliminated asset. And now in Maine, all recipients of the SNAP program will have their monthly benefits delivered to them by today. SNAP benefits are distributed to eligible residents from the 10th to the 14th of every month, with all beneficiaries scheduled to have their benefits by the month of July by Friday. Now, the next round of SNAP payments will also begin on August 10th. The state of Texas will complete issuing SNAP benefits worth up to $1,700 for a month of July this week. Texas has a long window for issuing payment.
It has historic reductions in spending, consequential reforms that will lift people out of poverty into the workforce, rein in government overreach. There are no new taxes, no new government programs. There's a lot more within the bill. We still have more work to do tonight to finish all the writing of it. I do want to take a moment, though. I do want to thank Garrett.
Lasting through the first 10 days of the month. Even the amount received depends on one family size. A single household will receive $281, and an 8-member household will receive $1,700. But on a federal level, some House representatives want to expand the number of food stamp recipients subject to work requirements and time-limited food benefits by raising the age of people covered by the rules to 65. Members are writing the bill against the backdrop of extraordinary uncertainty in the economy and inflation, including the cost of food is so high that the Federal Reserve is willing to risk a recession to slow the prices down. Economic disruptions are caused by the crisis, and the robust labor market is expected to weaken in the months ahead. The past week, Democrats of the Department of Education announced that it will begin discharging student loan debts for borrowers who've been in repayment for 20 to 25 years under a one-time payment. Around 800,000 borrowers will benefit from this, and there will be $39 billion dropped. Joe Biden said the previous announcement is a one-time adjustment and will become an even more important lifeline for struggling borrowers than repayments start in September. The one-time payment adjustment the Education Department had counts certain months that were previously ineligible towards student loan forgiveness. But now, everybody, the Education Department announced a one-time payment adjustment for all direct loans in federally owned family education.
$1,000 or couples making more than $160,000 won't receive a check. Now, according to one estimate, that's 7 million fewer families than in the original bill. Biden gave in to the demands that the relief should be narrowly targeted because he cannot afford to lose a single Democratic vote since no Republicans are expected to back the bill. Hold on, Savannah.
But Kristen, how does this affect the timeline then of final passage?
Well, Savannah, look, preliminary votes are going to start today, and it has a good chance of passing both chambers, but only if, and I stress this point, only if there are no other major.
At $80,000, above that, you won't get anything. If you're a married couple that files jointly, you will get $2,800 total. The big change this year is kids. If you have kids of any age, not just under 16, you'll be eligible for $1,400 per.
Sanders took to the Senate floor and pummeled legislation, which the Democratic leaders and Joe Biden agreed to pass in an effort to secure Manchin's vote for the Inflation Reduction Act last month. Winning Manchin's support was crucial for the party to advance a slimmed-down version of Biden's economic agenda. Progressive Democrats have fervently pushed back against the inclusion of the reforms, arguing they gave the oil industry a boost when the country should be investing in renewable energy. The inclusion of permitting changes reflects a disastrous side deal between Manchin and Democratic leadership. Sanders said adding the reforms in our position with the energy policy the U.S. is pursuing should be happening. And when asked about his announcement, Sanders said at a time when climate change is threatening the very existence of our planet, why would anyone be taking or talking about substantially increasing carbon emissions and fossil fuel production? He also warned of a revolt. Bernie Sanders warned of a revolt against House Democrats, saying at least 59 Democratic lawmakers would release a letter stating their opposition to the deal. And Manchin defended his opposition. In his position on this, noting that the Inflation Reduction Act included funding for several kinds of clean energy projects. Still, the senator from West Virginia argued. Folks, the Social Security Administration is at risk of defaulting. And when that happens, that means no Social Security benefits anymore. New payments will be going out to eligible seniors in just a couple of days, so get your stimulus ready. you can be getting it actually sooner than we all expected. That's because of what this President Biden just did for the fourth stimulus check. Watch this, folks. You don't want to miss out on the important news. Nearly all American workers are eligible for Social Security. People can choose to start receiving them pretty much at the age of 62. Full retirement age is currently set at 67, and that's even for people who were born in the 60s. But nearly 90% of eligible Americans claim Social Security at or before the full retirement age, with about a third of beneficiaries claiming the age 62 as their earliest time possible. But if you are one of the few who can hold out and start claiming later, well, it's going to have significant impacts on your financial life. According to economists, lawmakers, things like this, Social Security is just careening towards insolvency. The only question up for debate is when it will happen. The Fed's program trustees stated that in their latest update, Social Security's trust funds will run out of money in 2035. But less than 2 months ago, the Budget Office projected Social Security would become insolvent in just 10 years. But contrary to some American fears, Social Security benefits won't be cut when the trust funds are exhausted. Payroll taxes at current levels should enable the program to continue paying around 80% of benefits. Still, those steep benefit cuts could hurt the millions of retirees. Politicians in both major political parties want to prevent this from happening. In particular, Joe Biden wants to make wages more subject to taxes. Currently, Americans pay this payroll tax only on income of up to $160,000. Under Biden's campaign plan, though, any income above $400,000 per year will be taxed. One key downside of that is that it would be enough to tax the Social Security by itself. The Urban Institute 2020 analysis of the Biden campaign plan found that increasing the payroll tax cap would only reduce Social Security's long-term deficit by 20%, and it would push back the program by only 5 years. Under the program relates to this is that the Social Security changes would make Biden pretty much not a good decision maker on this because Republican senators want to allow Congress to reauthorize Social Security instead of trying to fix it on their own.
Thank you. I haven't asked my question yet. I'm going to ask mine, then I'll go right to Senator Hickenlooper. My question is going to be to all of you very, very quickly, if you can give us answers. Inflation. What's inflation in your territories? What is the inflation? What is the most contributing factor to inflation? What are you fighting the most right now? Is it food? Is it energy prices? What is it, but where's your inflation rate? What's your greatest?
The long answer is the Social Security Act doesn't allow the agency to use money for administrative work not connected to its main mission. So they couldn't get the IRS the information it needed to send out checks. But thanks to some legal wrangling, that's been worked out. One group left out of this good news, VA beneficiaries. The IRS says it's continuing to review data it has on people who get veterans benefits but don't file a tax return. The IRS does...
Folks, there is an updated list of states that are about to send out a fourth check this month, and the lawmakers